I have spoken about this in almost all of my life hacks, directly or indirectly, that every single individual on this planet, in this world, comes forth in every single birth with intentions of his or her own. He or she comes forth with a fixed set of intentions for that particular life or that particular birth. If that is the first birth of that person in this world, then the intentions of that soul or that energy are very, very pure, and they are to be free, to be happy, to love, to be loved, to share, to care, and many other positive intentions and emotions with which that soul comes into this world. You can read more about this on awakenwithsagar.com under the awakening section. If it is not his or her first birth, then apart from these basic and pure intentions that I just mentioned, that soul also has some additional intentions. So either those basic and pure intentions are slightly or more modified based on the experience that that soul has lived over a period of time in his or her previous births, or those intentions are adulterated. Those intentions are sometimes impurified, and they are mixed with some negative intentions as well at times. But specifically talking about basic intentions or basic plus plus intentions, basic and additional intentions from one's previous birth and life, that soul comes forth with intentions of his or her own in that particular life. And once those intentions are satisfied, or basically satisfying those intentions, is all that that soul is looking for. Of everything that we can call as the purpose of life, the base of all of that, the basis of all of that, or what lies at the root of all of that, is trying to satisfy one's intentions. So I come forth in this world in order to satisfy the intentions with which I have come into this world or in this life. When we look at life from our physical perspective, which is not an invalid perspective, it is definitely a valid and a very, very honest perspective. When we look at life from that physical and sometimes limited perspective, we assume that life is based on the number of years you live. Or if there is someone in his, say, 80s, for example, or 70s, then logically that person should go away first, and then the one who is in his or her, say, 40s or 50s. That is how we believe nature is, or that is how we believe that biology or our lives are. And as much as we would love all our beloveds or our loved ones and our dear ones to be with us forever, we understand that not everyone is going to be here forever. Basically, no one is going to be here forever in that particular physical birth. But the little misunderstanding that we have is the order in which we believe people would go away or move on or pass away or die. We believe that ones who have lived a lot of life, a lot of physical life, one who has a greater age, one who is older, we believe that it is natural, or it is in a way assumed by us that that person will leave this particular birth first, and then the ones who are less older than him or her. But what we fail to understand here is what I talked about in the previous segment, and that is our intentions. If my intentions are going to take me 60 years to fulfill and satisfy them, then I will live for that long a duration in this particular birth. On the other hand, if my intentions are going to be satisfied, the intentions with which I have come into this life, if they are going to be satisfied by the age of, say, 25, 26, then something will happen and I will move on at that age only. Moving on is a beautiful word other than passing away, which is the word for death as well. Die or death is a very, very harsh word, I believe, that we use for this understanding or idea of transitioning or moving on or passing away. Passing away is the best word that one can use in order to describe this transition from one birth, one physical birth, to the non-physical, and then to the next physical birth only. So it is not your age that defines how long you live. This statement is going to sound weird, but that is the absolute and ultimate truth of life. It is not my age that defines when I will move on, but it is how much I satisfy my intentions that decides if I need to be in this birth or if I am free to move on to the next birth. This is a very, very beautiful understanding of life that one needs to have. And the more you reconnect with yourself, the more you reconnect with that which you can call your inner being or higher consciousness or deeper understanding of life, which you can also call God. Once you understand this to the core, and not just understand it, not just listen to such a video and then make believe it, but when you meditate a lot, and a lot means a lot, when you meditate a lot, which means when you reconnect with yourself as much as you can, and when I say with yourself, it means the non-physical aspect of you. When you meditate with that which you are at the core of your existence in this world, you realize this. It is not something that I would force you to believe in. It is not something that you would read somewhere and then start believing in. It is something that you need to realize from within yourself how beautiful the transition, or what we call death, is. As abrupt or as unexpected as we may see someone else passing away or moving on, for that soul, for that individual, it is extremely important to understand that that transition is not an unpleasant transition. That transition is not something that is undesired or unwanted by that energy or by that soul, because until then, that soul or that person, that energy has fulfilled, 100% fulfilled all of his or her intentions with which he or she came into that specific birth. So that person is not, as a physical being, from a physical perspective, from a limited perspective, yes, that person may say to you as well that I do not want to die or I do not want to move on. And I'll come to this point shortly. But that soul has completely fulfilled his or her intentions with which he or she came into that particular or specific birth. And that transition is only nothing but pleasant for that soul. Now you may say that there are many instances or many situations wherein you see people saying consciously to you that they want to live more, or they do not want to die, or they do not want to move on. But I have also mentioned this in most of my life hacks, that human beings, or we, have got disconnected from our intentions, from our core intentions over a period of time. It is therefore our duty to get reconnected with our intentions. First of all, our intentions that we have come forth with, and then to go back to those pure intentions with which we are supposed to actually live, because it is only those intentions, or getting in touch with or being connected with those intentions, that is going to give us that true experience of living life, that true contentment, that true happiness, and that true fulfilling and satisfying experience of being in this world. So because we have got disconnected from our intentions, and because we have started taking life as nothing but a journey from birth to death, so we misbelieve, unfortunately, that I am going to finish on this particular day or date, or I am no longer going to exist. But like I said, the ones who meditate a lot, that is the ones who reconnect with themselves a lot, do not find that experience troublesome, negative, or painful in any way. Yes, there may be some experience of pain that one may go through in order to make that transition or move on, but that is also another story in which you can actually reduce that in one form or another by again being in touch with, or being very, very powerfully and strongly connected within. That is another talk altogether. But it is important to understand that the journey does not end at your death. In fact, the journey refreshes or begins again when you move on from one birth to another. Because you are disconnected with your intentions, you may feel like as if you are losing out on something, or you may feel like as if you are ending or everything is finishing. But when you stay connected, and that is extremely important, that is really the reason why you should be in touch with this understanding of yourself and be in touch with yourself. Basically, it is not about being in touch with my YouTube channel, isn't it? It is about being in touch with yourself as regularly as you can, which makes you realize how beautiful life is, and death is nothing but a beautiful opportunity. Therefore, consuming this knowledge is important, but at the same time, being in touch with yourself with the help of that knowledge that you have learned is what it is all about. When you reconnect with your non-physical self, when you reconnect with that which you know about life, when you reconnect with your deeper and higher understanding of life, you realize that there is nothing such as age. It is just your mind. It is just your existence. It is just your fulfilling of intentions is what this journey is about. This journey is not about age. The number of years you have lived in your birth is absolutely unimportant. It is totally irrelevant in that sense. Yes, you gain a lot of experience, but what kind of experience? That is also important, isn't it? This is again another talk altogether. Just having a physical experience of this physical world is one thing, but unless and until you know who you are, you know the purpose of living in your life, and you have not held on to everything so strongly that you are not ready to let go of any of that. That is not really a very, very healthy life, isn't it? That is not a very, very healthy mind. That is not a mind that would be content, or that would live that life with contentment or fulfillment or satisfaction or joy or happiness. It is therefore extremely important to understand your non-physicalness, and when you realize that, there is nothing such as age. All that this journey is about fulfilling your intentions. And when you fulfill those intentions, irrespective of your physical age, you are ready to move on. When souls come forth with such intentions, their moving on appears abrupt or sudden to the world. And then we see, or we say, that that soul or that person was taken away from us very, very soon, or that was not the age for that person to die, or we did not expect that person to go away so soon. We are in a shock, and this is a shock from a physical perspective. But from a spiritual perspective, that soul has only come forth with such an intention of not wanting to get old, or not wanting to get weak in the body and then move on, or not want to acquire diseases maybe and then move on. So these are very, very powerful and clear intentions with which souls come forth, and once those intentions are satisfied, that soul even happily moves on thereafter. And while we, from our physical limited perspectives, we see that person being there, and then we start missing that person one fine day. But it is not the death of that person that we are sad about. Let's try to understand this deeply as well. We are sad about the fact that we are missing that person. And these are two clearly different things, isn't it? I am not sad about the death of that person as much as I am sad about the fact that I'm missing that person. But when you realize that death is nothing but an opportunity, or it is nothing but a transition, it is nothing but me expanding and becoming more than what I have been in my physical limited life, you realize that that soul is only on a journey. But you can realize another person's journey only when you realize your own journey. You can understand the non-physicalness of another person only when you realize the non-physicalness of you and yourself, and that's only when you can be actually happy and loving for the soul who has moved on. Like I always say, nobody knows when he or she is going to move on. Nobody knows how exactly is that moving on going to happen, or what is going to occur that will cause that moving on. But living happily today, living healthily today is all that one's aim can be. And if you try to reach out for that on a daily basis, that's when you will neither fear death, there is nothing to fear in death, but you will also understand your life's purpose much, much more easily. When you are more worried about tomorrow or more concerned about what happened yesterday, you are not living in the moment. When you are not living in the moment, you cannot even begin to reconnect with the non-physical self of you. And when you cannot do that, you cannot really ever be happy. And if you are not happy, nothing is of use, isn't it? There are hundreds of things that I can see in front of me right now, but none of that is of use if I am not happy right now in doing whatever it is that I'm doing in my present moment. The intentions, like I said, with which we come into this world are non-physical only. Like I said, non-physical entity cannot have physical intentions. Non-physical entity would only have non-physical intentions of living life with contentment, living life with fulfillment, being satisfied, being happy, loving, being loved, doing everything for the world, giving to others as much as one can, having an energy exchange with another person or a set of people or masses also, maybe. So non-physical entities have non-physical intentions only, even if those intentions may have been adulterated by that soul over a birth, over a period of birth, from one birth to another. Those intentions are only non-physical in nature, and once those non-physical intentions are satisfied, nothing is more pleasant than just wanting to move on. When you just realize this, when you realize how beautiful the completion, fulfillment, or the satisfaction, the satisfyingness of those non-physical intentions is, you just understand the beauty of life. You value your life even more, and you value the process of moving on even more. So people who suddenly move on or pass away are not demonstrating to us how uncertain life is. Many a times when such sudden deaths occur, people say that life is so unfair or uncertain. But let's understand and realize now that those souls are demonstrating to us the non-physicalness of life. They are demonstrating to us the fulfillment of the intentions with which they came into that specific birth, and now during that transition they desire nothing more than wanting to begin a new and a even more beautiful journey. So let's not start calling life uncertain, but let's realize the value, the importance, and basically the basic most truth of life, which is nothing but wanting to satisfy one's intentions. When those intentions are satisfied, that soul desires nothing more than wanting to move on into a even more magnificent journey.